Judit, the World Championship match, was this one of the matches that you followed the closest, like because you were doing one of the commentaries here for Chess 24?
Of course, it was a great experience. This is my third World Championship match, which I'm closely following, so closely that I'm the commentator. My first one was in 2016 when Magnus played against Karyakin, and then 2018, which was, I think, the most difficult for Magnus with Caruana in London, and then this is the third one at the Expo. For me it was very special because I felt that this is a very unique opportunity for chess, that in Expo where during the 6 months there are 25 million people, so chess gets a little more attention, and chess is part of the Expo in many different ways. Today, for example, there was a fantastic exhibition projected on the Elvassel square here, so chess is really highlighted here. And of course it was very interesting to see and follow very closely how the match unfolded, because it was different parts of the match, right?
Yeah, so in game one, this knight a5 move and Nepo being very well prepared, playing king f1, did you feel at that point that wow, Nepo has come very well prepared?
Yeah, that showed that he's very well prepared. He played very fast, which is absolutely his trademark also. But Magnus was very well prepared as well.
Yeah, and that ended in a draw, game one, and then Magnus had white, and we saw this very interesting idea in the Catalan with knight e5.
That was very impressive, I think, by Magnus, and it seemed that he has great ideas to show in the World Championship match, though it was also very impressive how Ian could react on it, on a surprise and in such a situation where, of course, the pressure is very high, and within a few moves he got a better position. So he got a great chance in game two already, where he missed his opportunities because he was more focusing on securing the position and going on the safe roads. But that was something I think very tough for Magnus, some moments there.
Yeah, I think that was a missed opportunity there for Ian. I think he could have scored the first win there.
Yeah, that was very close. At the same time, with Magnus it's not so easy to go all the way and convert your advantage.
Absolutely. And Ian showed another tremendous preparation in the Petrov, where knight h4, he found all these series of moves, rook f8. Maybe the game was entirely prepared at home.
That is very possible. Some people say it was.
And that was tremendously done. And then we also come to this fifth game where c4 move was missed by Ian Nepomniachtchi. How important would you consider that move?
I think it is quite critical because it meant that he was not alert enough in the match. As during the game, I think it's the most important, especially in a match, to be alert in a way that if there is one opportunity, you have to be ready to take it and go all the way. And this was a sign that he was not alert enough to be able to catch the opportunities when it's given. And when you play against Magnus, it's not that you're getting every 5 moves an opportunity to take advantage. And that was a very serious sign to say that Ian was not taking this opportunity. Maybe, I don't know whether it's because he played fast or he didn't consider it that it's such a big difference, but here also I felt that he goes for the sure Shablon way of playing rook d1, I think he played.
Yeah, rook d1.
So this was not a good sign, I think, and it gave some information away for Magnus also that, it had to be played when you play World Championship.
Yeah, and then we moved to the sixth game, which according to many was the game, and as Vishy said in his interview that it was a one-game match. This is the game of the... You also think so?
I think more or less there are about 3 parts of this match. There was the first 5 games where Ian showed that he has pretty good preparation. He knows how to put pressure, especially in game 2. It was pretty balanced match up to that point. I thought, and also some other people, that there is a scenario that we are going to see again all draw in classical games.
Yes.
Even that. Though of course with Jan, he's a very interesting player. He comes up with interesting and creative ideas. So it was clear that it was not that stable. But it seemed after 5 games that he has this stability. But in game 6. That's the second part for me, and then the third part, kind of the rest of the game, or more from game 8. It was a game which was possible to lose. I don't think we can say that Jan made such a mistake that it's not unforgivable to him. Simply when Magnus came to that game, he was so focused. When I was commentating with Anish, I also said it, look at Magnus, the way he came first. That was, I think, the first time he came to the board first. And he was like having this very special pose that he was like really focusing. And kind of I had the impression and the feeling that he's ready to sit there until very late. I didn't think it's going to be that late to go into the next day. But I had the feeling that he's determined in that game. People can say that I'm just coming up with this, but I had this feeling. But Jan had the feeling somehow, it seemed that he had the same, that maybe it's about time to show that I take risky decisions, I'm going more for keeping the pieces. And b5, for example, I think it was very nice, it was impressive, I liked it very much. When it was already later, he took back g takes f6. It felt that it was unnecessary to play for a win in this game, especially against Magnus in this symmetric game. And later on, I was kind of surprised on rook ac8 because, of course, the position objectively is still okay. But when you have this unbalanced material, 2 rooks against queen, it can always be one move and then things can fall apart. So there I felt that it can be anything. And then of course there were ups and downs. He didn't take on b4. Of course there is always a reason to things. But he also played h5, which seemed to be not so good. I was quite impressed by Magnus playing h4, king h2. And of course when they reached the rook knight 2 pawns against queen, I mean, I know even in move 130 it was draw objectively according to the database, but I don't think on earth there is a player who could have held it against Magnus. Because simply the time and the unpleasantness of this position, he will go around another 10 times and the opponent will have not enough strength, not enough time, so the person will collapse.
And every time 50 moves comes, he pushes a pawn.
Karpov style.
Yeah, and that was one second part ending there, and I guess the third part it began with Jan starting to go wrong. One was b5, the other one was c5. These were some of the not very customary mistakes at top level.
I think psychologically he did not work enough. I don't want to blame anybody. It's just my feeling that psychologically he was not ready for dealing with such a pressure, and it can only be, I think, when you have other thoughts. It's in this match also I believe that Magnus was much stronger in mindset and stability in mind, handling the situations. Of course he was not having such a difficult time as Jan losing the game. But I think Magnus also said it, that Jan, when something goes wrong, he can easily fall lower and lower and lower. While he promised that whatever will happen, I'm not going to crack just because I lose a game, just because I don't win a winning position, just because I miss an opportunity. And of course, Magnus's experience is something that unbelievable. And I see that he's also learning and he's using this experience in a very wise way, that he's really putting all this experience next to each other, so his stability from world championship to world championship even grows bigger and bigger, because he's experiencing and he's very sensitive on the small details, I think, and his team, of course. So It was a pity, of course, to see Jan drowning this way, because he's a great player. I mean, we've seen him in the candidates, we've seen him elsewhere. But of course, chess is a sport, which means what happens on the board is very important. But what happens before in preparation, what happens after a lost game, how you can handle it, how you can digest whatever positive or negative thing happens, that's very much part of the sport.
But of all the world championships you saw, did you feel that Jan's kind of calmness at the press conference and all was quite surprising? Like, he was so calm in spite of losing?
To tell you the truth, for me he was too calm. I think at some point, especially when there were some very rude questions by some journalists, I think I would have given some tough answers. And I think he should have. Sometimes it's better not to behave always like a good boy, because there should be, I mean, of course there is huge tension, and you cannot deal with yourself when you blunder something. It's so difficult to forgive yourself. And then asking a question when he lost his third game that, okay, yesterday you said sorry, what did you say today? I just consider that it's like, it's just not fair. I mean, you know, but he was hanging on, and he was great, and he was there. But I think it was very difficult for the players, especially after Game 6. I mean, we go into half an hour after midnight, and then the players have to be giving a press conference where we could see in the next few games even how much tiredness they had after that. So I think next time there should be thought out maybe more wisely for the players how and what way to do it, because you have to think about the players too.
And lastly, I want to ask you, you have played Magnus yourself, you're seeing him grow as a player, and you're also in touch with the young talents. We had this Polgar challenge, you had a batch of youngsters whom you trained and you worked with. Do you think that what would it take for someone, let's say Ali Reza might be coming up, there is Fabiano Dingleren, there are also these youngsters, what would it take for them to beat Magnus?
Well, first of all, you have to have great passion for chess, you have to have incredible preparation, you have to have fearless, that you don't fear from Magnus, you have to have your energetic play and show it in every game. And you have to be extremely strong in mind. So if someone can handle a loss and just play the next game as if nothing have happened, which is much easier to say than done, but it's in some ways it's possible, then it's possible to challenge Magnus, because then he can also get nervous, he can also get the stress over him, because of course when Magnus is just calm like here and he's so much feeling all the details, all the nuances, I mean, whenever he sees a reverse position, he says, okay, I go passive, no problem, I make a draw. So somehow you have to unbalance him, which is of course very difficult, but already with making draws or winning one, losing one, I mean, we could see with the Karyakin, right? I mean, it's very difficult for him.
Amazing insights, Judith, and thank you so much for your time. We did this interview right in front of the Hungarian pavilion, and you've been a great ambassador for Hungary, for chess, and thank you so much for your insights.
Thanks.